Daniel Sports Central, we go for a college football game preview and prediction on the 2023 Big 12 Championship matchup between the Texas Longhorns and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Two teams that have had awesome seasons getting to this point. Texas 11-1 on the season. This team is very much still in college football playoff contention. I feel like some people have kind of written off Texas, but this team is very much still in the picture at this point in the season. But obviously, got to take care of Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title game, and that is no easy thing. Oklahoma State's been one of the more surprise teams this season. They are 9-3 heading into the title game, and this is a team that heading into the season, by many, wasn't even expected to make it to a bowl game. So, for Oklahoma State, this has been a great season for them, and what a chance they have to take on Texas for the Big 12 title. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with their team trends. Texas beat Texas Tech 57-7 last week. What a win for the Longhorns there. Texas Tech is a solid team that is headed to a bowl game this season, and Texas made it look easy. Dropped a 50 bomb on them, and this team is 11-1 on the season, 8-1 in conference. And Texas lost to OU back in October. That's the one loss of the season for the Longhorns. Otherwise, Texas would probably be ranked number 2 or 3 in the country right now. But obviously, even despite that loss, this team is still very much in contention at this point for the college football playoff. But as for Oklahoma State, beat BYU 40-34, but that did not come easily. Went into double overtime. And this team has had a really interesting season. You consider the way this team really emerged there in mid to late October and started playing really well, beat Oklahoma eventually, and then after beating Oklahoma, lost to UCF 45-3. And so, this team is definitely inconsistent, and down the stretch, we've seen everything from Oklahoma State. We've seen them play at a really high level, but also look like a absolute garbage team. So you never know what you're going to get out of Oklahoma State, but this team, despite all that, 9-3 on the season, they've had a great year. Games be on Saturday the 2nd in Arlington. Kickoff is 11 a.m. Central. Spread's going with Texas here by 14, which I don't think that's too surprising, seeing Texas as a 2-touchdown favorite here, given the way that they just played against Texas Tech. And also, the ceiling of Texas is really as high as anybody. I really do think that. Down the stretch, they've had a couple of closer games against not great teams, but in the end, they've found a way in each of those games, and they've really, they've been impressive in a lot of games as well. But over-under is 55.5. FPI is going Texas as well, 88%. Series history, Longhorns lead at 26-11. We have seen Oklahoma State, though, be pretty good in recent time. They've won the last 2, and they've also won 7 of the past 10. Your stat comparison, Texas 14th in points per game, 11th in points allowed. This is a balanced team here in Texas. They're especially good against the run, as they're the 4th-ranked rushing game in the country. As for Oklahoma State, they're 42nd in points per game, 77th in points allowed. Thing is, for the Cowboys, this team is good as long as Ole Gordon can get going. He is Oklahoma State's running back, who you probably could argue is the best running back in the country this season. He's rushed nearly 1,600 yards and in the season and 20 touchdowns. He's been incredible for the Cowboys. This is the 40th ranked pass game in the country, 50th in rushing. But Oklahoma State, that's the thing. They got to get Ole Gordon going if they want to have a chance. And Alan Bowman's been their quarterback. He's got 2,800 passing yards, but he also turns over the ball a lot. He's got 10 touchdowns, over 11 picks this season. So obviously turnovers are kind of an issue for Oklahoma State, but once again, it really comes down to Gordon and for Texas being the 4th-ranked rushing game in the country, or rush defense in the country. That can be tough for Oklahoma State, and having to use Ole Gordon, who's been incredible this season. But you look at the defense for Oklahoma State, 103rd in pass defense, 104th in rushing. So really, this defense hasn't been too impressive. Your recent matchups: Texas beat Texas Tech by 50, also beat Iowa State on the road by 10. Iowa State, not a bad season for them either. The Big 12 has been, last season it was a conference where you had so many, it was kind of like the Pac-12 of this season. You had a ton of depth in the Big 12 and a lot of good teams. Now this season, it's kind of gone. Texas and Oklahoma both were expected to be good, but otherwise everything has been almost backwards, I think. Oklahoma State and Iowa State both were expected to be bad. Turns out they finished 2nd and 4th in the Big 12 this season, respectively, if you look at the regular season standings. So, that's obviously been impressive. And I mean, for Oklahoma State, though, we mentioned this, their inconsistency does raise a bit of a concern. You look at how they beat BYU by 6, beat Houston by 13. 2 nice wins there, but they obviously lost to UCF 3-45. I still have no idea what happened in that matchup. You're coming off of a huge win against Oklahoma, 27-24. Come back the next week, travel to Central Florida, and lose 3-45. That's one of the more insane turnarounds I've seen. But, I mean, before that, way in October, they beat Cincinnati 45-13, and I mean, October was really where this team started to click. Your key points, Texas, 11-1. This team is, I would say, the dark horse of the college football playoff picture. I mean, you got, obviously, Georgia and Michigan and Washington, Oregon, Florida State, whoever. But Texas, they're on the outside looking in. This is a team that I feel like if they got in the college football playoff, they could definitely be competitive. I mean, I'm not saying they would win the national title. I feel like Georgia or Michigan, for example, are going to be so tough to beat for anybody. But I feel like Texas, though, is a team that some are kind of writing off, even though, I mean, this is a team with a ceiling. When they're playing at their best, I mean, they can beat anybody. And, I mean, they're seeking their first Big 12 title since 2009. So a really successful season for Texas. I feel like this is, I mean, you got Texas and Oklahoma both heading to the SEC next season. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, will Texas be able to fit in the SEC and be able to be a contender from the start? And I mean, I feel like if you compare Texas and Oklahoma, the way that Texas the past couple of years has emerged, and especially this season, I feel like Texas will definitely have some success in the SEC, especially at the beginning. And it's just about sustaining that in such a competitive conference, and only time will tell on that. But for Texas, this would be a great way to end their time in the Big 12, winning their first Big 12 title since 2009. But as for Oklahoma State, they've been a surprise team this season. Ole Gordon makes the offense brutal to stop, but once again, the matchup is tough. Texas's rush defense is brutal, so it is going to be tough to run the ball. So it is going to have to land on Alan Bowman a bit in this matchup and whether or not he can make some big plays. But for Oklahoma State, this team has been one of the better teams in the Big 12 in recent time. They are in their second Big 12 title game in the past 3 seasons. And I mean, you got to give huge credit to this coaching staff and Mike Gundy for what they've done, because I mean, this is a team that many thought had no business being a contender in the Big 12 this season. I think I had this team predicted for, 6 wins this season, give or take 1. I mean, so it's really impressive what this team has done this season, considering the inexperience and everything. And so, I mean, for Oklahoma State to even be in this position in the Big 12 title game, what a chance this is for them. So with that, let's get a prediction here for Texas and Oklahoma State. Looking forward to the Big 12 title game. And in the end, I'm going with the favorite here. Texas is going to win it 31-23. I think it's going to be tough for Oklahoma State to score a lot of points in this matchup. This is typically a team that can score a decent amount of points, but it is going to be tough. Texas with their rush defense. Gordon, it's going to be tough for him to run much in this match. I mean, that's a huge key to success for Oklahoma State. So in the end, I'm going Texas by 8. I think they find a way, and Texas remains in college football playoff contention. I'm saying 60% towards the Longhorns here. I'm also taking the under. I do think, I mean, it's 55.5 right now, but I mean, that's probably going to shift down. I would still take the under no matter what for this matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if this was more of a lower scoring matchup than some might expect. But I do have Oklahoma State covering the spread. It's currently 2 touchdowns. I think they cover that and at least keep it competitive, but Texas in the end is the better team, so I'm going to be going with them. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, your score predictions, all of that, and stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.